Hey everybody, Captain Dave Chenard here, and I'm going to show you guys how to tie Chewy's Cyborg shrimp. The ingenious part about this shrimp pattern is that notice it doesn't have any dumbbell or bead chain eyes, because that looks horrible on a shrimp, and on a lot of flies to be honest with you. It uses tungsten beads, teardrop beads that we call Cyborg beads. Okay, here's Chewy Cyborg beads. Okay, you can buy, Umpqua is going to be selling these. They come in various sizes and they permanently attach to the bottom of your hook when you tie your flies and make for the most quiet entry, silent entry flies you've ever seen. And they sink a lot faster too, and they don't catch grass or weeds. You can tie them in all sorts of colors, from awesome pinks to olives. So let's get right into tying Chewy Cyborg shrimp. Take yourself your Umpqua 410 hooks. They're an awesome all-around hook. They come down to a size 8 and all the way up to the big aught sizes. Put one in your hook, in your vise. The vise, use a rotary vise. Peak makes some incredible rotary vices here, made in America. You'll see why in a little bit. Put on some UTC 140 thread. We're using shell pink for this one. And run it up and down the shank. And let's go ahead and start by putting in our eyes. So to tie in the tungsten beads, rather than the lead eyes, you're going to use 021 mono, works real well. This is Umpqua hard salt water mono, works well. Flatten the end of it just a little bit, and then go ahead and put that in behind the eye of your hook, maybe about so it's 1/8 of an inch back. For this size Cyborg shrimp, we're using 4mm tungsten beads. Go ahead and slide one on to the mono, lash it down with a few turns, grab your second 4mm bead, and you'll notice there's a concave side to them. I actually, if you care, I actually put those concave sides facing the middle with the round ones facing out, but it really doesn't matter. Up to you guys. I flatten the mono, just like I did to start it. I do that to finish it as well, to reduce bulk, and then trim it off. So these beads, unlike lead or dumbbells, they'll never break off. Don't worry about hitting your outboard or a gun hole or a rock or your friend's head. Ain't gonna matter, because these beads are permanently fixed onto this shank using this mono. I'll do some X-wraps to hold them centered directly under, okay, the hook, so that they're perfectly centered that way. Couple X-wraps and you're done. There's your tungsten beads underneath your hook. Let's go ahead now and do our wing. For the wing, we're going to use extra select craft fur and cerise. So let's go ahead and cut ourselves a little bit of that. You don't need a lot of this, because we're going to use Arctic Fox as well. This is just the top color of the wing, of that shrimp wing. So go ahead and put it right in the top. Run it down the shank, just a little bit down the curve. Trim, and taper. And then to taper your wing, you can actually cut and pull on and cut at different stages. And you can get a nice little taper to your wing doing it that way, and add a little bit of taper if you need. So there's our front color, top color to our wing. Now we're going to put in Arctic Fox tail and hair tail in pink. And so go ahead and grab the Arctic Fox tail hair. You don't need a lot, okay, because it's just going to add a little life. Have those hairs be a little shorter than what you did on the fish hair, okay, because it's going to complement it and taper it just a little bit shorter. See that? And then let's trim that off. Okay, we're starting to get that nice taper in that shrimp tail. Now, we're going to use Chacon's barred micro crusher legs. We're going to use the micro in sizes 4 and 6, and you can use the regular size in the bigger shrimp if you're offshore or whatever, permit shrimp. And go ahead and take one of those barred legs and tie it right in, splitting it in half. Fold over the other half right on the top, and make sure they're centered just the way you want. Now we're going to go ahead and tie in one piece of Bonefish Pink Crystal Flash. So here we go, Bonefish Pink. We're going to tie one piece folded over the top on that as well. Get off rubber leg. Okay, and trim as needed to the proper length. Now we're going to tie in your fine black barred marabou. That adds some natural antennae and breathing, about 8 or 10 fibers. It's not a lot. And we tie that, and again, they're not as long as the rest of the wing in this shrimp. And so we tie them in the water. They just blow up and tickle really nice. All right, now we're going to tie in your mylar cord in small pearl. You can color this too if you want, but in this one, the regular pearl works great. Pull out the cord in the middle, put it right over the top, center it, and fold that back around down the middle. And then you can tease that with your scissors to break the mylar tubing apart into strands. And then once you tease it out, you can go ahead and trim a little angle to it, a little taper to it. I don't like things nice and square, just like that. We're going to finish the wing by adding a little bit of Arctic Fox back again. We don't need a lot. Just cut yourself a little bit. And then you're going to put that, again, shorter on the barbs on the length, on this bottom piece. That's just going to cover that pearl a little bit, and in the water it breathes around it. Really adds to the shape of that wing. Time to make our eyes. The eyes are a critical part of this shrimp. Look at the beautiful ones I made here with black pupils. They're a red metallic eye. They're done on that 021 mono that we talked about before. So go ahead and cut yourself a piece. Cut a little angle on one side so it's easy to thread in the mono. Into the eye, I should say, and then we're going to burn the end of that, and then we're going to take our black Sharpie to make the black pupil. So we're going to go ahead and just color the pupil black on that. Okay, and then you're going to go ahead and feed on a glass bead. I use the glass beads extra small metallic. They work out great. Oh, I had one. Sometimes feeding them on is the biggest challenge. They're so small. There you go. Got one fed on there. Let's slide it back. And we're going to use our UV cure in the hard. This is not the flexible, it's the hard. I'm sure you could use the flexible, but why not use the hard on this to make it as glossy and hard? Just move it all around. That's all you need. It doesn't take a lot unless you want to do a big, like size number 2. I spin it around a little bit, and then let's use a UV light on it. I love how these metallic eyes reflect in the sunlight and really get the fish's attention. So I'm a big fan of that. About 10-20 seconds is all you need with your good UV light. And that eyeball is gorgeous. It'll catch fish and it looks really good. All right. So anyhow, let's go ahead and tie in a couple of these eyes. Take your eyes and I want you to, with your flat pliers, smooth pliers, I want you to flatten the sides of it a little bit, and you're going to tie that in right off the side. You want that eye to probably be 1/8 of an inch behind the hook bend, give or take. So wrap that down. And then when you come to the end, I bend the eye to flare it out a little bit, okay? So just bend it out like so, and then lash that down. And then let's turn the vise and go to the other side. So again, use your flat pliers. Put a flat edge on that. A couple, if it's a little too long, trim it down. And then once again, you're going to try to line this one up about the same distance you did the other one. So let's take a look at that. You can, yep, I got the right distance. And then you can bend that like so again. And then lash that down. When you're done, you have two really nice looking eyes. And you can start to see this great looking shrimp tail, okay, that we have. Put that back in the vise. Okay, time to do our little collar. We're using EP Foxy brush here in the pink. So let's go ahead and tie that in. Right up on the top. That'll give a nice little back skirt, if you will. And again, do a half hitch around that. Get your finger brush, which is key for brushing your material back. Here's your finger brush. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pull the Foxy brush behind that eye. Rotate, pull it behind this one. It'll stick those eyes out a bit more, which we need. And then we're going to go ahead, use your finger brush when you need, and do an extra turn and a half or so, like that, in front of the eyes. And now let's tie off this Foxy brush. As you can see, the Foxy brush does such a beautiful job in developing that collar. It's really nice. We're almost done with this fly. We're going to tie in now your EP Woolly Critter brush in the tan pink for this Cyborg shrimp. And we're going to tie in the Shrimp Dub brush, which is in a 2-inch wide. Okay, and that Shrimp Dub brush is the 2-inch shrimp pink. So let's go ahead and tie both of those in. We're going to first tie in the Woolly Critter brush, since that's the last brush that we're going to wind forward. So let's go ahead and tie that one in first. All right, just like that. And then let's go ahead and tie in our Shrimp Dub brush right up on top of it in the back, okay? And bring that forward like so. Let's wind the Shrimp Dub brush first forward, using our finger brush to prevent the matting of fibers. You're going to spread them out just a little. We don't need this to be super tight. We want it a little translucent. Okay, so as you're winding your way around, we're going to do a couple turns in between the beads. In the bigger fly, we might need to do 3 turns. But let's do a couple turns in between the beads and then move forward. And let's do probably 2 full turns or so in front of the bead. Tie that off. Now we need to tease out that Shrimp Dub brush. It's too big at the 2 inches. We use that big size so we can get the right taper. So go ahead and now trim that down to the proper size for the shrimp fly that you're tying in diameter. So trim that around like so. All right, and get a little taper going on the front side of this. Okay, and let's go around here and give your front taper. You can trim this more later if you want, but it's harder because once you wind your Woolly Critter brush forward, you're going to have all those other legs in there. So you really want to get the rough diameter or shape of your shrimp now before you wind the Woolly Critter forward. All right, now let's wind the Woolly Critter. Don't forget to have your finger on here, your finger brush. Now with this Woolly Critter, you got to really make sure you weave it in and use your finger brush to not mat down your shrimp fibers. They are easily matted down. It's not as simple as it seems. So take a little extra care here. You want to give little striping. You don't want to go shoulder to shoulder on the turns because that's going to give you a neat little barred shrimp look in the water when it gets wet. That translucency will go all around the tan bars and it looks really good. Do a couple turns as well all the way in front of the beads to make sure you get that front taper right. And then let's go ahead and wrap this off. We have a little teasing to do and then we're done. This is ready to go catch a fish. Couple turns there and then go in front of the eye, up at the eye. Let's trim that off. Now anytime you trim, whoop, didn't have it tight enough. Anytime you trim, push on that. And let's go ahead and make sure you, with your fingernail, because you don't want to cut your thread. Sometimes that happens. All right, let's do our whip finish on that. And let's do a second one. And now let's tease out all of that translucent shrimp dub that got possibly matted down. It takes a little more teasing than you would think. and go around with that finger brush and tease out all those fibers. As I said, if you had some trimming you could do a little extra trimming now, but you really don't want to get too aggro because you don't want to trim off any of those legs. Now we'll use a light pink marker on this particular one to get a neat little light pink hue on the top of this shrimp. It adds a little depth to this particular colorway. You could do this with any permanent markers, Bic or Sharpies or whatever you have. And there is the Cyborg shrimp, okay, with the tungsten beads underneath. This is a fast sinking, great all-around shrimp pattern using the tungsten weights. Thanks for watching. Have fun.